Okay, I'm going to cover about three things here. First, I'm going to start with Not Yellow for Me. I think her name is Laura, but she said that last night she'd periodically hear something popping or rattling sound coming from her kitchen. She's thinking it could be a former resident of the house, a lady that had died either at the house or died in the hospital later. She said it could be her. Yeah, that popping sound could be a ghost rattling stuff, or it could be just what you call differential expansion of metals, where they'll make a popping sound when they change temperature. I have that here. Stuff will periodically pop. I had empty soda bottles that'll build up pressure and give a pop. I know that's not a ghost doing it, but you might take a laptop, set up an audio program on there, and just ask the ghost to speak in the microphone. Just see what you get. Just see if you get anything interesting. Just put that out there. Next thing I'm going to cover is our new pope, like Robert Prevost or something close to that. Actually, an American guy that had a church in Chicago. He also had a church in somewhere in Peru, I think. So the guy's not only fluent in English, be fluent in Spanish, and I guess he's fluent in fluent in Italian and probably Latin. You don't get to be a cardinal. You don't get to be a priest unless you speak Latin. So I'm guessing he's probably fluent in 4 or 5 languages. He gave part of when he came out and gave whatever they call that when you stand out in the balcony and say, "Hey, I'm the new pope. This is going to give the blessings to the congregation and the rest of the world and stuff." He gave it. Well, first he started off in Italian, which the thing I found interesting is that I could get enough of the words in Italian are close enough to words in Spanish that I know, not exact, but close enough I can figure them out. And interesting that I could understand a part of what he was saying. Not all. I'm not fluent in Spanish or Italian, but I could get maybe a third, maybe a quarter to a third of the words. I could understand what they meant. And the second half of his announcement was in Spanish, and I could probably get maybe half of the words he said in Spanish, which I found interesting. The last thing I want to cover was a vehicle from a friend of mine's. The thing was in front of my driveway over here and wouldn't start. So me and her son were going over. We spent maybe 15 minutes, half an hour, something like that, checking relays and fuses. There's 2 relays that are part of that starter circuit. There's 2 fuses. There's a third fuse that powers the ECM. It kind of come through there. We was playing with that, and he said, "Well, let's just push it in by hand, and we'll jack it up." So I'll get my meter on the starter and see if we're getting power down the starter. And I jack it up, and I crawl under there. There's a little wire, the 1/4-inch push-on terminal that hooks us on the solenoid terminal for the starter. That stupid thing had hopped off. It was just a matter of putting that wire back. Here I thought I was going to have to run down the wrecking yard for either a handful of relays or a starter or something. But just that stupid, I'll put it back and it started fine. Just one of those weird, stupid little things that happen. Okay, I'm gonna add some phrases to my goodbye. Besides, Das Leben ist ein Abenteuer, c'est la vie. Something a guy told me this morning. Leben Sie wohl, live well. And y vaya con Dios. Go with God. Bye-bye.